Okay, hello. Thank you everybody for joining today's Tips and Tricks webinar. Today's topic, as you can see on the screen there, is solving some challenges with our Harmony endpoint. I'm sorry. Try that again. Harmony email and collaboration. I said endpoint. Show you some new features we have, and please ask any questions that you have during the webinar. We have the Q&A chat. Please put your questions in there. Our presenters today, we have two actually. We have a security engineer, Richard Tom, and security architect, Larry Taylor. Guys, what do you have for us today?
Well,
All right.
hopefully some great content.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it conversational. I've had different conversations with Larry as a subject matter expert on Harmony Email and Collab. And from talking to customers out in the field and stuff, either intro calls or other conversations just with people even outside the industry, just talking about emails and security of emails, and other applications they might be using in their business. And so one of the questions, or one of the things I've seen, even internally and also with talking to other customers, and something that I saw that was really interesting with Harmony Email and Collab, that something that came out recently was something called Smart Banners. Because I've got the problem I got with some customers, or something they're trying to solve, is they want to make their users more keenly aware when recipients are outside of their company. Either they're receiving something from somebody, or they're sending something out to somebody, but primarily definitely on the inbound, when it's like, hey, here's an email that's coming in. It's like, hey, it's coming from somebody outside. So to kind of you can go to let so that way that their users will know this isn't from one of their coworkers. It's somebody who's outside. And yeah, and Larry, what more could you tell me about Smart Banners? Because I want to learn more about it so I can inform my customers more about it.
Yeah, sure. So smart banners is an interesting topic. Let's kind of I've got a couple slides around that. Let's take a quick look. It's interesting because smart banners is it's really more of raising the user awareness. It's targeted actually more for some of those emails that aren't necessarily malicious. When we think about email attacks today, we're trying to put in all these layers to protect the links, protect attachments, protect phishing, and all these different types of email attacks that we're seeing and dealing with today. But there's a lot of attacks out there that really start with just some complete basic social engineering, right? It's not that they're sending a malicious piece of malware. It's not that they're giving you a link to click. It's more of those requests of impersonating somebody and saying, hey, change my bank account to this, on my payroll, or send the payment for this invoice, to this routing number. And so a lot of that is first time senders, or things like that in general may not be a malicious email in itself. And so with smart banners, you can see right there, they're a clean email. When the engines run them and what they're looking for, there's not necessarily anything malicious. You can see some of those use cases that I mentioned, kind of listed there. But what
Mhm.
we're doing is we're trying to raise that awareness. So here's a great example. So if you look at this image, you've got an actual PayPal money request. Um, there is absolutely nothing malicious about this that the engines are going to pick up on, because it is truly sent from the PayPal service. So it's coming from the right location, it's coming from the right email, it's got the right logos. The links are completely valid for PayPal. Um, and really what it is it's somebody who signed up for a PayPal service, probably spoofed an email or something like that to get it set up. and then they're sending a legitimate PayPal money request. So, as I mentioned, legitimate sender. Now, in this scenario, it's an unknown phone number. We don't know that it's a bad number. But either they're going to try to social engineer you if you call that number, because you're questioning why you're getting this. That's where the social engineering starts. Now they got you on the phone and they're going to start their scam and all those types of things, trying to get you to take further action, or you're going to click and pay them. So, there's no indicators that actually mark this as being a malicious. So the other scenario this is for is just helping to educate and raise that awareness on those sensitive emails. If we take a look here, this kind of is just an example of kind of what our interface looks like. So these can be set up per policy within our tool, and you can turn on the ones you want. And then you even can go in and you can customize what the message is. So I've seen customers where, let's just use the example of somebody requesting to change bank account information. In this little header that we're adding, that little banner that we're adding and just raising awareness for that user, you might put a little checklist in there. Hey, this is dealing with, this is trying to change a bank account. Make sure you contact the account owner directly. Don't call anyone, don't use any of the phone numbers in this email, things like that, to where you can actually use this also as a training tool and help educate the user on just some extra steps of precaution to use because of the content and what they're trying to get done within this email. So that really is Smart Banners. It's an awareness raiser. It's generating either education or just that awareness for that user to be more cautious with this email, and help protect those emails that may not have anything specifically malicious within them. And then, just kind of wrapping that section up, obviously, I just kind of came across this, right? Phishing emails will pull on your heartstrings like this cute kitten, right? That's what they do. They try to get you to take action. They try to get you to feel sorry for them or guilty or make you think you owe them something. You did something wrong, right? That's exactly what phishing is all about. It's that social engineering aspect. It's how do they craft that message to get you to take an action, so they can get credentials, they can get money, they can get, whatever they're looking for. Maybe it's data. So I thought that was very fitting when we talk about, cat pictures and things on the internet.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely, for feel for somebody, and it's good to be more aware when you're interacting with people outside of our own company or and with our our customers, interacting with other third parties and stuff like that. And I've also got some customers where they're they want to send a message to or some information to a partner or something like that, and they want to make sure only that recipient receives gets that message, and they're the only one who's able to read it, and and there's and have nothing in between that could possibly read a message, and they want to be able to have that encrypted. And sometimes we see this with maybe healthcare and financial customers, but I've also had some requests from some other non-healthcare and non-financial customers who asked about if we've got this feature. And I saw something about Smart Vault, and I think that might kind of address some of those concerns that they're trying to solve. And I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about Smart Vault.
Yeah, for sure. So Smart Vault is our email encryption and secure messaging utility. So a lot of organizations, whether it's because they're under regulation and they have to provide it, maybe it's the content they're sharing, they need the ability to send secure email. And one of the challenges has been that, Google doesn't offer it. Microsoft has it, but it requires additional licensing. So a lot of customers either struggle with it, or they're subscribing to yet another third-party service that they're having to now integrate and manage, in addition to, their email security, their Microsoft email in general, or Google. And then this third party encryption, right? So when you're tracking a message, where'd it go? Did it deliver? Somebody says there's a problem. You're looking through all these different things. So what we did is we actually came up with our own secure messaging. So this does hook in and is available if you have the DLP portion. So we do our triggering based on DLP data types, DLP categories, all those regex values, things like that. But what happens is if we trigger that based on your policy configuration, we have a workflow that we can force that email to be encrypted and sent to SmartVault. Well, what is SmartVault? SmartVault is a customer portal. So the email never leaves the system. It's actually retained in the system. It doesn't deliver to the recipient. What actually happens is the recipient receives a notification that somebody from your organization is trying to send them a secure message. And then they have the ability to go through a process of clicking a link, accessing that portal. To get into the portal, they have to request a one-time password where that is sent to their email. And then they have to authenticate using that one-time password. Once they're in there, they're going to be able to view it. They're going to be able to respond to the message, download attachments and things like that. But, if we take a look, I kind of talked through this, but just to kind of visually give you a little more here, with that. So once that email is triggered to be sent using SmartVault because of its sensitivity, then this is what the recipient would actually see. They click that read the message button. They're going to go to that SmartVault portal, and then they can send an authentication code to themselves, where they get that authentication code, and then they enter it within the portal, and they are able to actually view that message, download, work with attachments, respond, things like that. So great way to really secure that environment and secure those messages when you're talking about PII, especially in regulated industries, where you don't necessarily even want your data to be sent to, somebody's personal Google, right? In the medical field, in financial fields, some of those highly regulated, they don't even want the chance of that data to be breached because it's on somebody else's system. So having these secure messaging platforms where it is viewed in a portal is very important, to meet those compliance regulations. Oh, sorry, a couple more clicks there. So yeah, it's a great new feature. It is available for Microsoft and Google. So no matter what your cloud platform is, you can take advantage of that secure messaging.
Cool. That's great. I'll be definitely getting some more detailed information to this customers that were asking about that about that problem they were trying to solve with that. And one of the other things I've noticed is that besides just seeing things on TV about QR codes and stuff, you got people putting QR codes up, hey, click, scan this now and do whatever. But people I'm also seeing QR codes in emails, and I was wondering what's Checkpoint kind of doing about being able to enable the admins who and what are we doing about to be able to see what's behind these QR codes, especially ones that are received in emails and such, because I don't know. As a human, I can't look at a QR code and go like, oh, I know exactly what, what site that's going to. But it'd be interesting to be able to, enable our customers, especially the admins, to be able to see what's behind those QR codes. What are we doing about that?
Yeah, for sure. So you don't have those QR glasses that let you see the page right behind it?
Not yet. I haven't programmed my Google Glass yet.
I got you. Well, so I, since we don't have those glasses, we had to build protections in. You could see here, right? I came across this little image as well, and it's totally true. Hackers are using QR codes in phishing emails today. Most email security platforms, they just pass it through. They see it as an image. They can't inspect it, and so there is a lot of concern. And whether it's clicking on that QR code, taking a picture of that email on your phone, whatever the case may be, right? They're getting you to take an action because it's something you don't know. You're not seeing that malicious link, and understanding what's behind that QR code. So, this is an example of, just one of those actual phishing messages, where they used a QR code, right? They're getting you to think there's a problem, and then, hey, we provided you this really easy solution to go view it. Just take a picture of the QR code, and they've got you right where they want you. So, we've done a few things, right, over the course of time. QR codes has been something we've focused on. It started with our link rewriting, right? So, kind of our first protection there was we would look at that QR code and we would actually open up and get the link behind the QR code, and then run that through our sandbox, right? We want to look for that to be malicious. So both reputation, but also we do URL emulation. So that's definitely a differentiator for us. So we would expand that link that QR code is representing, and then we would run that through our link protection. So as that has grown, right, we felt we still needed more. The attacks continue to get more and more advanced, right? You're seeing where maybe that QR code, when it's being delivered, is not malicious. But 48 hours after they send that email, maybe it is. So you're seeing time bombs where things are being activated and becoming malicious after a period of time. So let's talk about kind of our most recent thing here as far as QR code protection, and that is the actual rewriting of the QR code itself. So not only can we rewrite the link that the QR code is representing, we can rewrite the QR code. So here you can see that now this QR code is pointing to our rewritten URL. So we're not only rewriting and checking the link behind it, but we're doing our URL rewrites with the QR code itself. So if you take a picture with your phone of that QR code, we're protecting you there as well, because we're going to go and inspect that URL with our link rewrite at the time of click, at the time of opening, to be able to do that. Now, the other thing that we have coming soon, expected, don't hold me to this, expected yet this month, potentially early February, is we're expanding our protection there further, so that if that QR code or that link is doing a direct download of a file, we're actually going to be sending that downloaded file to our emulation, to our sandbox for attachments, and we're going to be able to run that through full emulation, really looking for those 0-day attacks. So, it is going to have to be a link that ends in a suffix, right? A .doc or a .pdf or something like that. Or it's also going to support if we're doing link shorteners. So here is just a couple more of those examples that we're trying to help protect you from. And, this first one here is a great example of that protection I just talked about, right? Scan barcode to view document. Well,
Right.
you scan that and it's going to go download a document. You're expecting it to. It just told you you're going to view a document, so you're expecting that. In the end, it's probably going to download something with, some VB script, or it's going to download a piece of malware or something, right? Maybe a piece that's then going to communicate back out to a command and control server. So, all these different things. And then you see this second one over here. Hey, your login access expires. Scan the QR code to secure your current password, right? Oh, that sounds easy. I'm going to do that. I'm going to change my password real quick. Well, guess what? They just caught your credentials. So a couple great examples of why we need that QR code protection within our email, as well as other platforms, right? We have QR code protection within our, and that ability to check links within our Harmony mobile solution as well. So if you do scan a menu and it's got a malicious link, right, we can help protect you there as well. So, this technology continues to grow and grow within our platform, but definitely a must-have within your email security.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's helping protect people against their own kind of urges. I always look at those barcodes and and like, oh, it's like it's almost like an impulse buy when you're in the checkout at grocery store.
It's
But
as easy as buying on Amazon, right?
yeah, just click, one click buy, right? And
Uh,
yeah, and just thinking about giving admins the ability to be able to see what's behind QR codes and stuff. I know just as as a user or an admin, they're going to be, the admins are going to be looking at emails that have been quarantined and maybe having to make a decision on whether or not they get released from quarantine. And I know, there's Microsoft has I guess their dashboard, and and we have a dashboard, and I saw some stuff about like a unified quarantine to be able to see which ones Microsoft has done, and have quarantined, the ones that Harmony Email and Collab is quarantined, and was wondering what's kind of the deal with that? Do customers have to look at two dashboards, or can they just look at one that might combine the two? And I just I think I read something about that, but just want to get some more if you could tell me about what's available for admins or even their users.
yeah, for sure. So, um, you're exactly right. When you start dealing with the multiple layers, right, you have security in, potentially a third party email gateway. You've got security. Um, you've got security in Microsoft. You got security in Google,
Mm.
um, and then you now introduce us, right? So you've got these different layers, and there is some overlap, right? There's multiple places where a message could get quarantined, different
Mm.
things like that. Um, that now can produce multiple, um, daily digests. That can also, mean tracking an email or managing the quarantine. Um, that is going to present a challenge both for the user experience and for the administrative experience. So what we've done is we've actually introduced what we call a unified quarantine. And really the goal behind this is we want to improve that admin experience. We want to improve that user experience by giving you that centralized place where you can go manage quarantined messages, understand what Microsoft did versus what we did when that same message is being inspected in two different locations. Um, so really what we're doing here is the ability for us in our management to show you what Microsoft has done, as well as ourselves. So, for example, when we do reporting, we can show you, hey, your total number of phishing messages, whether it was quarantined by Microsoft, whether it was quarantined by us, is this. You can turn those things on and off. When we run reports, you can see specifically what Microsoft's decision was. If you want to look at, show me everything with this SCL score, or I want to see the decision that Microsoft made. We can show you all that because of our integration that we've done to make that experience, a cohesive environment. We can show you who quarantined it. So when we look at our quarantine in our dashboard, we can show you that it was quarantined by Checkpoint or it was quarantined by Microsoft. So you visually have one-stop shop to go manage those messages. Now, that's great. Great, we have visibility. Now, we also have the ability to do things like releasing those messages. So if Microsoft quarantines it, we're going to show it in our quarantine. You now can open that and you could actually release that message from the Microsoft quarantine. So if a user reports and says, man, I've got a message I was expecting, I can't find it, can you check the quarantine? Right now, the first question is, do I go to Microsoft? Do I go to Checkpoint? Well, you go to Checkpoint because we're going to show you both of them. Now, right from there, you find the message, you click release, and whether it's in our quarantine or Microsoft's, we're gonna push that release and it's going to deliver to the user. So just a great admin experience there. Now, the second piece you see there is the end user quarantine digest, right? Not everybody uses this, but many customers turn the digest on, right? You have it configured in Microsoft that you're going to send them a notification, once a day that says, hey, these are the messages that we stopped. They're in the quarantine. And the user can review those and make sure it's not something that they were needing or expecting or wanting, right? All those things.
Right.
Well, when you introduce multiple layers, what happens? Now you got Microsoft sending them a digest that looks and feels one way. Then the secondary party, right? Like us, we're sending them one with our quarantine, and now they're getting two. And they're trying to figure out why they're getting two. They look different. Are these real? So we've also invested to make that user experience better. And so what we can do is you disable the one from Microsoft. Because of our integration, we can send a consolidated digest to all your users.
Nice.
We can send that, so it'll show everything from that Checkpoint quarantined, everything that Microsoft quarantined, and we have the ability, if you configure it, to let the users release it, even based on Microsoft's decision. So, for example, maybe you want to allow the user to release a message from their quarantine if it was flagged as spam, right? Maybe that's a marketing email they were expecting, or maybe something like that. Maybe that's one they want to receive. It's some kind of newsletter or something. So you're going to go ahead and allow them to release from the Microsoft quarantine or the Checkpoint quarantine if it's marked as spam. But maybe you're going to say, hey, if it's flagged as phishing, we're not going to let you restore it on your own. But if you really think you need it, you can request a restore where our analysts will review that message, make sure it's not malicious, make sure there's not something there, and then they can release it for you. So we provide you with those self-service type scenarios, but also just that singular user experience. They don't know if it was quarantined by Microsoft or Checkpoint, and they don't care. And neither should you, right? We want both layers. We want both layers active and doing what they're meant to do. And we want those to work well within our operational workflows. So if we look at this, right, I was talking about some of these things, right within our dashboard. When we look at our quarantine dashboard, right there, you can see, oh, this was quarantined by Microsoft or quarantined by Checkpoint.
Sweet.
So we can use those as filters. And then this is an example of what the daily digest looks like. So again, here's quarantined emails. They can request to release them, or they can release them based on how you have your digest configuration on what you're going to allow them those self-service terms on. So here's kind of some of that configuration here. You can choose you can choose the action by the classification for Microsoft. And then the second part is just getting deeper, right? Including more of this, including more of this quarantine within our dashboards, within our reporting and filtering, so that, again, from an administrative standpoint, everywhere you look, if you want to see it with Microsoft's numbers or without, it's available. So a couple examples of that. We have our, right on our overview screen, we give you the email security flow. So what does this tell you? Well, it shows you all the inbound messages coming into Microsoft. Then what Microsoft did with those, right? They delivered them to the inbox, they're delivering them to junk, or they quarantined them. Now, obviously, if Microsoft quarantines them, they don't come to us. But if they're delivered to junk or to the inbox, they do. So then we inspect them as that secondary layer, where we can show you then what is delivered to the inbox, what's delivered to junk, and what we quarantined, showing you the total that was actually delivered.
Wow.
So here's where you can also see in the reporting, right? We can see, and filter on what Microsoft had, what Checkpoint had, and who did the remediation of those messages. So just all around here, we can show you right on our dashboard, our totals. Do you want to include the Microsoft quarantine in the totals, or do you just want to look at it from the Checkpoint side? So just a lot of great integration to really make that experience, both for the user and the administrator, super powerful.
Wow, that's a lot of information and a lot of visibility into what's going on, between Microsoft and email system and the Checkpoint security with it. And that's I've just noticed that I'm getting like updates, it probably more than a few emails a week about enhanced features and new features that are getting added to Harmony Email and Collab. But so I'll have another follow-up meeting with you in the near future, I'm sure, just so I can get some more insight into into those other new features and stuff. But,
yeah, sure. And you brought up a great point. When we're talking about features, let me grab a link here real fast. 1 second here. So one thing that is great is we have a Checkpoint Harmony Email and Collaboration product updates blog. So, these features are all available that we talked about today. We're releasing probably 2 to 3 new features and enhancements on a weekly basis. That's a lot to follow.
yeah, it is.
But let me put this in the chat. So this is a blog where you can go, and every time we release a notification or a new enhancement, whether it's big like some of these, these feature sets, or it's just, hey, you now can customize this. We create a blog article, and those are published to that link I just shared. You can subscribe to it so you get notifications in email and different things like that, RSS. So however you want to follow that, but I would encourage you to follow it. It's a great way just to stay up to date. You may be trying to figure out how to do something. Go search it, right? Go search and see if it's something we have that you aren't aware of. So it's a great resource there for everybody who's trying to manage that email security.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I'll be following it. Like, I mean, besides the emails, it'd be cool to do it that way, so I can click on links and then be able to safe links and then read about it. So, but yeah, that's awesome. I see we've got
Yeah, I have some questions
there's a
here for you
bunch
guys.
of questions.
Yeah, most of them on Smart Vault here. So first
Oh,
off,
Smart
everybody said,
Vault's sparked an
Yeah.
interest, huh?
yeah. Well, first off, people are saying they couldn't see the link. I think I reposted it to everybody. Can you guys see that in the chat now? Somebody got it. Okay, thank you. But that will also be included in the follow-up email, so you won't miss it. Okay. Back to the questions. Smart Vault, is this is the one-time password per message, or will the recipient be able to receive additional emails through the same portal?
Great question. That one-time passcode is going to be per message. So they'll receive, if they try to go back into that link, it does have a timer on how long that authentication is going to be cached. So, if they click out of it and need to go back into it, there are ways to do that without that one-time passcode. Again, I don't recall what those timers are off the top of my head. But if they're sent a second email, they would click again, they would click that link. So it's a little different than some of the other ones that I've seen out there, where you create your own account and then you can see, it's almost like a secondary inbox. This is really a link to specifically view that message.
Okay. Can we integrate Smart Vault with Microsoft encryption feature? How can it be done if the customer uses Microsoft encryption itself?
Yeah, so if you're using Microsoft encryption, generally you wouldn't use Smart Vault, right? They're kind of doing the same thing. Now, that being said, our DLP engine, we have workflows. So if we trigger a DLP event, you choose a workflow in the policy. And what we're doing in that is, if we're using Smart Vault, then it would be, a workflow, something like, we're going to send this using Smart Vault, right? Which means we're going to send a notification, we're going to store that message in Smart Vault, and they would access it there. We also have workflows with integration to Microsoft encryption. So if that DLP is triggered, we have a workflow that is, send this message using Microsoft encryption. So we do have levels of integration there. So it's not that Smart Vault and Microsoft encryption really integrate together. It's usually you're going to choose in the workflow one or the other, but Harmony Email and Collaboration do integrate with Microsoft encryption. Just note that it does require you to have the appropriate Microsoft licensing to support the email encryption. It's either an add-on license or you're talking like an E5, things like that. So just be aware that there are those types of situations.
Yep. Next one, with Smart Vault, where will the emails be stored? On Checkpoint servers? Would that be an issue for European customers with GDPR?
Yeah, so with Smart Vault, that email is stored within the Checkpoint platform. As far as from a GDPR perspective, when you stand up our environment, you choose where you want data residency. So you can choose from numerous locations. So if you do have the European Union requirements, maybe you're standing up in that data residency. So from a GDPR perspective, if you are under that, you would want to make sure you choose the correct data residency, and then those messages would be stored within the platform within that specific data residency.
Okay. And does Microsoft Quarantine Release also work for M365 group emails?
That is a great question. I have never specifically tested that. I believe it would, but I can't say 100% off the top of my head.
Okay, Enrique, I have your number and your contact, so we will follow up with you on that one, okay?
And are you talking like a true like email that's designed for a group, or are you talking like just a distribution? Because distribution basically just breaks it up and sends a message to everybody.
Yeah.
So I do know with distribution lists, it does work because it's an independent release for each user.
Okay, got it. Doesn't treat it as one big group.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to release it for everybody.
Yep.
And then as far as how long it takes for the quarantined items to show up, it's usually a minute or two, right? As soon as you do it, it processes, it does an API call, does the release, and then it's going through the delivery path. So, I would tell you, usually within 1 or 2 minutes.
Okay, great. I think that covers it for questions. So thank you, Larry and Richard. Great information. We got a couple shout outs here from Michael saying thank you. They found it very informative. So very good. Let's see here. Sorry. There we go. The follow-up email will have any reference content. I'll include that blog link and the recording link of this session. Our next webinar will be in 2 weeks. That one's going to be more on professional services and our advanced technical account management offering. Just make sure you're aware of that. You'll see an invitation for that soon. But thanks again for joining. We'll see you here next time. Enjoy your day. Thank you, Richard and Larry.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Bye all.
Bye.
Bye.